my opinion, I think he's a lousy president. Yeah, he did some good things, but for the most part, I think he's been a horrible president for 8 years. And the reasons why I think that are basically really very simple. Some of the reasons why I think that. Now, you may not disagree with me, and that's okay, but check it out. I'll kind of explain to you. One of the reasons why the countless executive orders that he preached and he slammed down our throats, the presidential executive orders Obama has issued, and the unlimited scope of the federal agencies through those executive orders. I mean, he's put government in our faces in every aspect of our lives. He's made a mockery of the few and defined powers granted by the United States Constitution. Executive order is, but this guy basically has said many times over. He said, "Hey, look, man, I don't even care. You don't want to work with me, Senate and the House of Representatives, because I don't have you. Well, then, I'm just going to executive order." But the thing about executive orders, they hurt us, the taxpayer. They hurt us, the 327 million people living in this country. And they don't last forever. So we get in this yo-yo effect, okay? Because the next president comes in, just cancels the previous guy's executive orders. That's exactly kind of what happens. I mean, he has usurped the legislative authority and taken great power and control into himself, almost like a dictator. That's what executive orders kind of give you, that dictatorship feel. And he has exacerbated that more than any other president. One of the most prominent examples of this, his attitude, is his president's signature's achievement of Obamacare, which has proved unworkable and costly for American families. Now, the architects of the so-called Affordable Care Act, what we're talking about, health insurance, I mean, really, made federal control of our health care system and individual mandates more important than actual affordability, practicality, and the freedom of American patients. Growing government became an end in itself under Obama, as that doubled the national debt in terms of our assets. Now, check it out. Look at. See, people say, well, what about the 20 million people that got insurance? Well, come on, let's look at it this way. You don't pay your insurance, right? You don't pay your insurance. The IRS taxes you. They tax you and they give you a big fat ticket, okay? And they don't care whether you're making money or not making money. If you file a tax return, you're going to get, and you don't have any insurance, you can't prove it, you're going to get taxed. It's just that simple. So when you get Obamacare and you can't afford it, and you can't afford the extra $250 or $500 or $600 or $800 it goes up in 2017, you end up not getting any insurance. And if you file a tax return, then essentially what you're going to do is you're going to get zapped with a big fat ticket at the end of the year, and that's going to stay with you forever. And the IRS will eventually attach that to your credit report, and they can come after and take anything they want, anytime, anywhere, anyhow, in any way. And you're not going to fight them. They'll take your car, they'll take your guns, they'll take your house, they'll take the clothes off your back. They'll rob your bank accounts. They'll rob your savings accounts. They'll rob your pension funds. And they have the right to do all of that once they come against you. You don't ever want to fight the IRS. I'm telling you that much. You'll never win. The best you can do is break even or make a deal with them, okay? But look, now all of a sudden you get this insurance, 20 million people, and now you can't pay for it when it gets hiked up and jacked up this year in 2017. Now you got hit with a tax. So they're going to get you one way or the other now, right? And they're going to end up taking your stuff because that's what's going to happen. All right, not only that, it creates a criminality because some people say, well, I just won't get filed tax returns. Okay, now you're in criminal contempt and you're going to go to jail. They're going to come after you sooner or later, okay? Well, people say, well, I'll just work in cash basis for sure. Okay, you still have to file taxes. See, you're caught. Either way you look at it, you're caught. See, this is what people didn't understand about this Affordable Care Act. It's not so much that 20 million people are getting insurance. That's cool. Everybody needs to have some health plan, okay? But here's the bottom line. When you can't pay it anymore, you get taxed. So you just allowed Obama to tax you on something that he gave you, but now you can't pay it as it goes up, so you get taxed. So he got you, man. It's just that simple. Duh. All right, so that was one reason why I think he's the worst president than any other president today or in the past. I mean, I think he was worse than Buchanan. Buchanan was the president right before Abraham Lincoln. In fact, Buchanan just basically said, I throw my hands up in the air and wave them like I just don't care. And Buchanan said, the heck with the Union, let it all break up, let the South go where they're going. But of course, Lincoln wouldn't do that. And it was the greatest president, followed by one of the worst presidents we've ever had. Here's the second reason why I think Obama, on the eve of his speech tonight in Chicago, basically his farewell speech, which basically is a good riddance speech. I had a friend of mine say, good riddance to bad meat. Thank God that meat stick is gone after 8 years. Here's the second reason. Well, I am sure the president has honestly desired for peace around the world. I mean, everybody wants peace. That's just like of course, nobody wants to kill anybody. We're not murderous people. Nobody is. If you are, you're a psychopath and you should be shot. Saying hi to Rensfer, 55, and Charlie Jammed, and also R Short, 1343. Thanks all for chiming us in, and Victor Martinez on Facebook.com. You guys are hitting us up. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Share it out. We talk about a lot of stuff, controversial, and sometimes we have a lot of great fun. So, we do a lot of different topics here. And today we're talking about why I think Obama is one of the worst presidents ever on the eve of his farewell speech. My goodness. He can't even get behind the president-elect Trump. He can't even get behind and speak positively about that. All he's worried about is his own personal legacy. Can you imagine that? The egocentric, narcissistic person he is. Second, while I'm sure the president has honestly wanted peace around the world, hey, okay, too often he's expressed a desire in kind of a, you can't figure out what he's saying. It's all muddied up, right? He's apologetic. He bows down to other leaders. No president ever did that in the history of the United States of America. I mean, he can't even salute the Marines at Chopper 1. I mean, he forgets to. Someone probably reminded him because he does it now. It's like they're inconsequential, right? What a guy. And his passive-aggressive stances that abandon our allies and emboldened our enemies. Now, if you think I'm wrong in that statement, check it out. Why are we having to go back into Iraq and Afghanistan? Why all of a sudden are there almost 500 soldiers, U.S. soldiers, back in Afghanistan? Because the Russians came down and filled the void when Hillary Clinton, right, and Obama decided to pull our troops out. He should have left about 40 or 50 or 60,000 troops there, just like they did in Germany after World War II. Okay, he should have left something like that, created some sort of system like that, but he didn't. What he created was a vacuum, a big hole in the wall, and it was filled by the Ruskies. The dirty Ruskies. If you've ever seen the George C. Scott movie, and one of the greatest movies ever, in my opinion, it was one of oh boy, now the names are just slipping me. Dr. Strangelove. And George C. Scott plays like a 4-star general, and he talks about the Ruskies. They're Ruskies. Those Ruskies. Everybody knows about those Ruskies. Man, they can fight, but they're not too smart in the head. I mean, you got to watch that movie. It could never be made today because of political correctness. Everybody's just got fear and poop in their pants, and they're afraid of everything, But the bottom line is the Ruskies came down in and filled the void. They have always been partners with Syria. So they just came down and filled the void. They've always been partners in the past with Iran. They just came down and filled the void when we exited. And we created terrorism in the Arab Spring. These are the reasons why. We made Israel a less safe place to be. Now, whether you like Jewish people or not is irrelevant. At least they have a democratic process and they don't cut people's heads off in the middle of the street, right? I mean, come on. And at least women have rights. I mean, it's some of the basic things. They have Muslims and Buddhists and Taoists and Jewish people in Israel. They don't have any of that in Afghanistan or Iraq or in these terrorist encampments, do they? No, of course not, because they'll chop your head off. Because that Islamic religion, which he seems to always back over American Christianity. I mean, what's wrong with you, Obama? So that's the second reason why I think he's the most horrible president this country's ever seen. Third reason why is President Obama and his appointees of his judges demonstrated a deep apathy, a resentment even for the values and traditions of our great America. It seems like they're always fighting against this progressive left-wing liberal agenda. He went to a school out here called, before he went to Harvard, He went to a school out here, Occidental College. And I had a friend of mine who went to Occidental College with him, the same age. Okay, he was just a couple of years older than him. And he was a president, class president. My friend Ben went on to play football at another school and became a tenured history professor with a doctorate at SMU. And I played football with him at Monroe High School here. I was at Poly High School, so we became friends. Anyhow, here's a long story short. I was talking to him one day about Obama because he was at Occidental, NAIA Division I school, right? And I went to Cal Lou, so we had something in common there too. And I was talking to him one day when Obama became president. I said, you went to school with Obama at Occidental. What was he like? He said, well, first off, all he wanted to do is create trouble and walk around with protest cards and Black Panthers and all this kind of stuff and communist and socialist stuff. He hung out with the communist and socialist Marxist people, and he's a rebel rouser, right? And did he ever go to class? Yeah, not really. I mean, see, everybody at that school is something like 1,800 people. Everybody knows everybody's business, right? So he said, no, he really didn't go there. Well, did he get a full ride scholarship to Harvard? I mean, did they come seeking for him? No. What really happened is Occidental asked him not to come back because it was so disruptive. All he wanted to do is smoke pot, do coke, and be a Marxist. That's what he told me. I swear to God, honest to God, that's what he said to me. And this is a guy I went to school with. Him. Okay, he was a class president. So, I mean, really? So, he also didn't hang around with too many ladies. That's what he told me, too. I just throw that in there. I mean, you can take that for what it is. So, President Obama and his appointees and his judges have demonstrated a deep apathetic view for our values in America in an effort to reshape this country through progressive cultural bias. And come on, man, he is progressively culturally biased, okay? They have started the attack on the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, our freedom of association, even our collective right to control immigration in our nation. They just want an open border society. That's really what they want. And that's what socialism is all about. But, socialism, you get the top crust and they got it all, and the bottom's got nothing. There is no middle class. So, I mean, that's really some of the reasons why I think Obama is one of the worst presidents this country has ever seen. If you want to talk about foreign policy has just been atrocious, just horrible. It's made America weaker around the world, less respectful. People aren't afraid of us anymore. And you're darn right, guys. They need to be afraid of the big boy in the town, the big guy with the big stick. That's how we keep ourselves with liberty and justice for all, because, no one wants to mess with us. Russia and China are trying to build their forces, but they're still far away, but not too far, because, hey, we've met all the money to China, didn't we? Iran's testing ballistic missiles now. North Korea's sent off a couple. They say they did an H-bomb underground. They got these missiles that can go, Mach 12. I mean, really? I mean, is that like making America's value better around the world during his presidency? What about that Arab Spring, the overturn of all those governments? He sees his Gaddafi and Libya as a great thing. He should never got rid of Gaddafi, because what for the psychopath, sociological, disturbed pieces of crap jihadists, Islamic jihadists, right? All right, so, I mean, really? Really? He hasn't done anything to create this nation and put the fear of God in the rest of the world and say, you don't mess with us. And that's right, folks. We have to put the fear of God in the rest of the world. You want to know why? Because if we don't, the rest of the world is going to be putting their fear in our face in Mississippi. Because everybody wants what this country has. And if they can't buy it, if they can't somehow get it from the inside out, they're going to try to take it from us. Little by little by little by little by little. All right, and so he's allowed our Navy, our military, our Air Force, our Army, our Marines to just not have the best equipment and all of this stuff. So internationally, as far as the trade deals, I mean, you got to laugh at this guy's ability to make trade deals. It's unbelievable. His leadership, the way he's positioned us in the Middle East has weakened us totally. It's the extremist jihadist idiots I mean, they feel like they can say and do whatever they want to do, and they're attacking our home country. Are you kidding me? Really? His sanctions don't work because he draws a line in the sand and didn't hear up to it, didn't fess up to it when that line happened. So, I mean, Obama, really? What about his economy? Everybody says, oh, well, he turned the jobs around. He turned everything around. He got everything going right side up. Did he really? You want to talk about unemployment? Let's take the G6 and not the G4. The G4 is what they talk about when you get it on the news, right? The mainstream media. The G6 is people that have kind of quit looking for work. They've given up, right? Because they can't find a decent job. And even the Democratic, the DNC will say, well, most of the jobs that Obama created were part-time jobs. Yeah, now a guy, a gal, or whatever, got to work 3 jobs for the price of 1, like they had to work before. I mean, look at the difference, the contrast. This is how you judge. Look at the contrast. Alibaba, the world's largest online store outside of Amazon. Okay, Alibaba is bigger than Amazon in the rest of in the Orient because, of course, there's 2 billion people in China, right? So it is bigger. Alibaba, just the other day, 2 days ago, pledged that the guy that started Alibaba, said out of China, he said, I'm going to pledge 1 million jobs in America. I will make that pledge to you. What about the guy from Japan who said, 50,000 jobs or 100,000, 500,000 jobs? What about the car manufacturers that are coming back now? What about all this stuff that's happening? He's not even president. I mean, you see, it's because the world perceives him as a man that's a businessman. He's creating jobs right there for him. And these are like $80 an hour jobs, guys. These aren't working at McDonald's, Chuck E. Cheese, and Jack in the Box at $15 an hour. I mean, really? So, what has Obama done? Oh, he increased the unemployment. That's what he did. He did a real good job in that. He created 144 new regulations that are pending during his administration, just in 2016 alone, to hurt American businesses. Let's see what other great things that he did. During Obama's time in the office, America has slipped in several international rankings of competitiveness, innovation, and economic freedom. Is that amazing? Hey, I'm just quoting stuff. This is real stuff. This is the real deal, guy. So when you hear him talk tonight, really, are you really going to cry and whine and wish like Meryl Streep did? What a fool she was. Absolute fool. And Rosie O'Donnell, I mean, what a big fat turd face she is. And I'll say it too. Just go being whiners and go live somewhere else then if it's so friggin' bad. You all are worth 20 to 50 to 80 to $100 million. I mean, you guys can point the finger at everybody else, but when mid-America, the middle class, which Obama's almost darn erased under his economic plan, when the middle class stands up and says, hey, Hollywood, take it and put it where the sun don't shine, yeah, it hurts your feelings, doesn't it? Yeah, really, I'm telling you. He's worse than Bush on economics, and I thought Bush was bad. There's a couple of more reasons why Obama is the worst president, I think, this country's ever had. He didn't do anything. He can fancy Dan talk, though, can he? That's for sure. He's a fancy Dan talker, and he did a great job behind those beautiful Greek pillars there on his acceptance speech, right? And everybody's whining and crying for the great Obama. So, I mean, when you start looking at when you start looking at some of the things that you think he might have been a great president, he took our debt to almost $20 trillion that your great grandchildren are going to have to pay for. That's unbelievable. All right. So, he had a little job sequence that kind of changed things around, but really, was there anything there of any importance? Was there anything there that was really any good? I mean, would you rather work one job at $65 an hour or 3 jobs at $15 an hour? Yeah, but you're working around the clock. You might be making the same money at the end of the week, but you're working around the clock. So you see, I mean, how good of a president was he? So when he propounds himself tonight to be one of all the wonderful things, he's such a narcissist. It blows me away. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, I think that's what he's really been good at, is a narcissist. People talk about his stimulating growth plan for economics when he came in. What did he really stimulate? I mean, really, he stimulated great government spending. He stimulated the largest government ever in the history of the United States of America. I mean, during the 1930s, the New Deal lawmakers doubled federal spending, yet unemployment remained above 20% until World War II. There's a lot of people that say we got into World War II because the New Deal wasn't working and FDR wanted to get reelected. He had to put 6 million people back to work. Japan responded into a 1990 recession by passing 10 stimulus bills over 8 years, yet its economy remained stagnant. Okay? In 2001, President Bush responded to a recession by injecting tax rebates into the economy. The economy did not respond until 2 years later when tax rate reductions were implemented. In 2008, President Bush tried to head off the current recession with another round of tax rebates. The recession continued to worsen. Now, the most recent $787 billion stimulus bill was intended to keep the unemployment rate from exceeding 8%. In November, it had topped 10% not too long ago. Now it has come down, but you see, tax cuts don't do it. Tax cuts help, but job creation does, getting jobs back. So what did he do? He didn't create any jobs. He just created this myth that the stimulus did. When you really start looking at it, the economic theory behind the stimulus builds on the work of John Maynard Keynes 8 decades ago, from 80 years ago. It begins with the idea that an economic shock has left demand presently and significantly below potential supply. As people stop spending money, businesses pull back production, and the ensuing vicious circle of failing demand and production shrinks the economy. The Keynesians believe that government spending can make up the shortfall in private demand. Their models assume that in an underperforming economy, government spending adds money to the economy, taxes remove money from the economy, and so the increase in the budget deficit represents the new dollars injected. Therefore, it scarcely matters how the dollars are spent. The Kenyan idea is of 80 years ago is said to have famously asserted that a government program that pays people to dig and refill ditches would provide new income for those workers to spend and circulate through the economy, creating even more jobs and income. But it doesn't work. If it worked, we'd be far better off than we are today. Government spending doesn't work. This is a plan that's 80, 100 years old. It doesn't work. You know what works? Jobs. Simple and sweet. The creation and innovation of jobs. Jobs. Manufacturing, industrial, middle-class jobs. That's how you grow an economy. That's how you get double-digit growth. Jobs, 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 new jobs, innovative, creative jobs. Getting our companies back, giving them the tax incentives not to go away, to stay here. Invest in their assemblies, invest in their workers, invest in their workers' education, invest in their workers' health plans. That's how you get it. Did he do any of that? Come on now. This is why Hillary Clinton lost the presidency, because she had these old ideas that didn't work, and middle-class America said, you got it wrong. You're wrong. It doesn't work. So was Obama a great president? Let's talk about the racial dissension that he's created. He's a black man. Man, I'll tell you, I've never seen so many black and white fights. I'm talking about white people. I'm talking about people, anybody who's not black. Okay? I have never seen so many racial tensions in my lifetime of 56 years on this planet. I've never seen it. I've never seen what I've seen now. And that is, black people hating white people hating black people hating police hating black people hating black people, white people not trusting black people not trusting white people. I mean, really? Really? Gee whiz. I mean, how stupid. But he's created this dissension. And, his so-called people that he talks about, his people, he didn't do nothing for. Did you see what they were saying in Detroit this last election? He didn't do nothing for us. He didn't do nothing for them. What he created was more government assistance programs, more EBT and welfare checks. That's what he created. He didn't do nothing for you guys. He didn't do nothing for immigration. He didn't even stop the people that were murdering the drug cartels coming across there. Fast and Furious was under his time watch. They sent arms to the drug cartels. Can you believe that? I mean, really. Obama gets it wrong all the time because he's got this progressive ideology. And that's the thing. Their economy is far from booming. We know that. Um, we know that the health industry is sucking wind right now. I don't know about you, but my PPO and Blue Cross went up $450 in January 1st. Okay. His backwards thinking on economic values of renewable energy. Hey, listen, renewable energy is great, and eventually it will become, but you just don't shift a whole nation away from energy you dig out of the ground, primarily called coal, which is the number one energy, and oil. I'm sorry. What do you want to break our nation and kill our nation? I mean, you see, it doesn't make sense. There's no logic behind this. So when you really start looking at, was he a great president? What he talks about tonight, really, not really. I mean, he sent so much away. Let's talk about religious divide. I mean, did you ever see him ever say, "I'm a Christian, and I believe in God, I believe in Jesus, I believe in our holy Lord"? And you say, "Oh, well, that's archaic." And so people around today don't believe in Christianity. Most people today don't believe in Christianity. You say to me, it's not archaic. Well, is it? I mean, would you rather go under the Islamic Quran and have your head cut off and wear a burqa, women, and not be able to have a driver's license or get an education and get beat and stoned and all this crap? Or would you rather pray to a God, whether you believe it or not, that has sympathy and compassion and empathy and forgiveness and love? That's what Jesus was all about. Forgiveness and love. He gave himself for us. Now, whether or not you believe in the Christian faith, that's up to you. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. But I think, someone who wants to give of themselves, for me, is better than someone who wants to chop my head off. Come on, I mean, 1 and 1 doesn't equal 17. So our nation was built on these ideologies. And I've never seen him once. That created religious divide to the point that the twisted, sick, maniacal, suicidal, Islamic, Muslim, jihadist freaks, psychopath idiots, cowards to the max, they saw this as a weakness, okay, right? And so, that's why now we have terrorist activities all over the globe, directly related to Obama and Hillary Clinton. Directly related. 1 and 1 in their case does equal 2. That's for sure. So, I mean, when you start looking at his presidency, you got to ask yourself this question. Seriously, am I better off in 2017 than I was in 2008? Am I better off? Well, the minute he takes the presidency, we get the subprime blow up in 2009. Okay? So, I mean, that's under his watch, right? Okay? So you got to take responsibility for it, even though things do run through it like a line through 10, 15, 20-year intervals. Still, the point is, he wasn't ready for it. He wasn't ready. He never held a position. He was a nonchalant, not really anything worthwhile senator in Illinois. All he's been his whole life is a rebel rouser and gotten money from people to rebel rouse. I know cats like that right here in San Fernando Valley. They get money to go out there and create those stupid protests. Okay, so really, when you look at it and you start laying it down and you get to the truth of the matter, he was a horrible president. He was didn't do anything. And what little he did accomplish, the price we're paying for it is tremendous. Trump isn't even president yet. I don't care if it's Trump, Banana Boy, Snowman, or Boogaloo as the next president. A cat who's already making jobs in this country for people? Yeah, that makes sense to me. Right there. A guy who wants to increase the Navy and the military? Yeah, he's sending signals across the world. This is why every major leader in the world is kissing his butt right now. Because not only is he a businessman, he is the president of the United States of America. And whether you like him or not, when he puts some more money in your pocket and you pay less in taxes, and you have a better paying job, Let's see what your hypocrisy does to you. Let's see if you can change. Most people live in the hypocrisy of democracy and religion. They can't change. But they'll certainly take the money, honey, baby. That's right. So, when you start looking at these things, and you start asking yourself the reality of the situation, get past the words and the hyperbole of it all. Obama, a good president? No. 0-0, no. 0-0, no. He was more like Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter was a good man. Jimmy Carter was too good of a man to be president. He did not have the experience like Obama. Well, you say neither does Trump. Well, yeah, he does, because Obama could never even run a business. Never run a business. Never did anything. Never did anything, except he speaks well and can read a teleprompter. Yeah. And he, in my opinion, was an African American. And many of the public felt that this was the time for an African American to be president, because he could bring together the racial divide. He could bring together the country and heal and help and progress us in a positive way. He didn't do any of that. None of that. He was a disappointment. Okay? He was a disappointment. And so, unfortunately, people are afraid to say that. But I'm not. I mean, I'll tell you something. I do terrible under Democratic presidents. They take all my money and increase government and make it hard for me to do business. I do great under Republican presidents. I don't know why that is. Maybe because people think that Republicans are better business people, perhaps. I don't know. The thing I do know is this, that when history comes its way 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now, and they look back at this time, they're going to look at that man and they're going to say, he's in line for Buchanan, Carter, and Obama. Buchanan was probably the worst president this country's ever had. He was a president right before Abraham Lincoln. You ought to go read about this character. This guy basically at the end of his presidency, he threw his hands up in the air and said, I can't do anything about the South breaking away. That's it. Forget it. I don't care anymore. And if they break away, that's fine. I give up. Essentially, that's what Buchanan did. And Abraham Lincoln came in with a solid rock of a fist, a fist like a rock, and said, no, we're going to keep this country together. And Lincoln fought everybody. They hated Lincoln. They hated Lincoln. The Union guys hated Lincoln. The Southern guys hated Lincoln. But he became one of the greatest presidents this country's ever had. He was a creator of civil rights, a Republican. He came from the Whig Party originally. And it's an offshoot from that party which is no longer around, the Federalist Party as well. They created a Republican Party. Okay, that's why they call it the Party of Lincoln. The point is, real simple, is this. He was the one that created civil rights on a nationwide basis. It was the Democrats who pushed on the agenda of Jim Crow in the South after the Civil War, because they didn't want anything to change. See, that's what their ideology was all about. They didn't want anything to change. See, so when you start really looking at history in a neutral state, a neutral point of view, and you try to say, who were great presidents? I think JFK would have been a great president, perhaps one of the greatest presidents this country ever had. And he was a Democrat, and he was a progressive, and he was a liberal. But he was more like a guy who had a brain, who understood empathy and compassion, humanity, but understood how to be strong and how to make the right decision, the tough decision. And he could speak a pretty good lick of a word. Okay, so I think he would have been one of the greatest presidents had they not assassinated him for a lot of reasons. That's a show for another topic. But in that respect, I think LBJ was one of the worst presidents. I think Eisenhower was a very good president for after World War II. I think Truman just rode the skirts of FDR, who I don't think FDR was one of the greatest presidents. He was more like a king and a dictator. That's what FDR really wanted to be. Okay. He was a great manipulator. He also came from a very wealthy family. All the presidents come from a wealthy family. All of them do, of some nature or sort. except for, Obama. What did he do before he was president? A lackluster career, one-timer, two-timer in Senate in Illinois? Nothing. Now he goes back to Chicago, where he started his political career, being a rebel rouser. And he's going to go back there. He's going to get on the tube tonight, and he's going to talk about how wonderful all the great things that he has done. And you're going to sit there and be marveled and amazed because he's one heck of a great speaker. I didn't think he was really a great speaker, but y'all did think he's a great speaker. I don't think he has any sparkle in his eyes. I've never seen that man have an emotion about anything, in that respect. He certainly doesn't go to white people's funerals or Latinos' funerals or Asian folks' funerals, but he goes to all the African American funerals. He certainly doesn't say anything about all the cops that were killed, whether they're white, black, brown, green, yellow, purple, or pink. He doesn't say anything about that. See, he constantly race baits, and he constantly has this agenda. And this agenda in this world. Thank God that he didn't have the opportunity to put Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court. Otherwise, we'd be living in liberal left-wing la-la land. Ryan Gosling won Best Actor at the Golden Globes for La La Land. Okay? That's what we'd be living in. In that respect. So I don't think he was a great president. And those are some of the arguments, and I can talk about this for days on end, as to why I don't think he has been a great president. A failed presidency. Did not live to his dreams. He was a pipe dreamer. He sold a good con to us. I think just what President-elect Trump has done already has done more for turning around the attitudes of the world in terms of their respect towards America, has done much more in terms of the major corporations, because, they didn't fund his presidency. He don't owe anything to anybody. Very little. Very, very little. So, and he didn't have to use regular media to get publicity. He just tweeted. And people ask me about tweeting. He shouldn't be tweeting. Why not? JFK used the TV, made Nixon look like Igor Frankenstein. Okay? That's why JFK was a beautifully handsome, charismatic, charming, educated, well-bred man. And he showed up great on the camera. And he spoke well, eloquent, and passionate, and compassion. Nixon, his opponent, he looked like Igor. Eventually he became president, but he looked like Igor. So, and then when you look at, he used the TV. He was the first one to use TV. FDR was the first one to use radio, the new technology of radio. The fireside chats. He delivered the great speech of infamy in 1941. Okay? Theodore Roosevelt utilized the papers as his primary substance. Okay? Because he was best pals with William Randolph Hearst. And William Randolph Hearst is the guy that owned 30 newspapers, all the major papers in all the major cities of the United States of America at that time. He owned most of those papers. And he could write a story and taint the story, and that's where yellow journalism came out of. That's where the concept of yellow journalism, which is basically creating and tainting a story for an outcome that you want to happen. And Theodore Roosevelt used that technology. Abraham Lincoln used the telegraph. That's how he used to telegraph his orders. That's how Abraham Lincoln. So every new piece of technology has come along the way, the presidents use them. So what's the difference with Trump? He tweets. That's how we get our information now. We don't watch news. We don't have telephone calls. We don't leave voicemails. We don't mail. We tweet. We tweet. And we Instagram chat. Snapchat's probably going to go out of business, but we Instagram chat. We tweet. We Facebook. This is what we do. Heck, they're delivering packages, Amazon, by drone. Things change, guys. All right. Those are the reasons why I think Obama is one of the worst presidents this country has ever had. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me. That's your narrative. But hey, you just entered the world according to Torero every day from 5 to 6 right here on the Jesse T Show, Monday through Friday, on Instagram Live and Facebook.com/Jesse Torero. And the power of voices that pop back up in Yay! We got that going. Didn't even know we were on. That's great. Wonderful. All right. www.thepowervoices.com, YouTube Live, The Power Voices, and Facebook, The Power Voices. Lee Baby Michaels, man. The man with the magic fingers. Got it working good. All right, great, man. I knew you could do it. And I'm glad we had that channel going. Well, this is the Jesse T Show. Every Monday through Friday. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Real Estate Wednesday tomorrow. We're talking loans. We're talking real estate. And we're talking jobs, baby. That's right. I want you to get a job so I can sell you a house. You got it. The world according to Torero. Now you're straight on the point. The Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya.